Afternoon, guys. I hope everyone is really well. I'm super excited to have one of my upline mentors, Matt. He's based in the Gold Coast. How are you, Matt?
Good, man. Thanks for having me on today. I'm really stoked that I could jump on.
Thank you so much. Yeah, it's really exciting to interview you and talk about what we do and what you used to do. So I really just want to ask, just get straight into it, like a little bit about you and what did life look like before you said yes to this business?
Yeah, for sure, man. Yeah, so my name's Matt from the Gold Coast, Australia. Before I started this business, a handful of years ago, I ran a construction company here on the Gold Coast for 8 years, and it was the sort of business. It grew into the sort of business that most people dream of having, I guess. We were doing, when we went to scale, we were doing 35 homes a year, doing about 6 million gross turnover a year as well. We had about, on average, 55 guys a day across our sites. So it was a pretty good business. We had five employees as well. So that was awesome. And basically where we got it to, my vision was to double it again. So I think that's the thing with guys, bigger is better until you hit a certain point. So for me, that was where I got to with the 35 homes, 5 staff, 55 guys running around day to day. It comes with its risks. So I got to a point where I had to sort of realize that, do I really want to double this? Is this really how I want my life to look? So bigger wasn't necessarily better. A good week for me was one that I didn't have to deal with lawyers. So pretty sad when life gets to that point, but the vision was to double it. So we're going towards that. Other things we battled with was in the construction industry, constantly trying to get paid or chasing getting paid. And that's where the lawyers came into it. We were constantly chasing the subbies, trying to get them to, just we're paying them good money to do their job on what they're licensed professionals to do. And the quality is just like, essentially we're just quality control, trying to pay them what they're asking for, which is a good rate to do their job, which was ridiculous. And then that would end up being a battle as well. So just got sick and tired of it, really. But probably the main thing as well, and probably most people don't realize this, but the risk that's associated with the construction industry. So us being the principal contractor, we have to give a 7-year warranty on the houses we build. So I don't know any other profession that has to offer a 7-year warranty personally for the houses we build. So in 2017, my wife and I made a bit of a plan to degress out of that industry. And then in June 2018, we finished our final job, which was awesome. So everyone got paid, all the clients were happy. So it was a really nice, smooth exit. So yeah, I've still got 4 years to go left on my warranty until I'm free.
Oh, amazing. Yeah, no, I've got a lot of people that are in the construction industry, and like a lot of the pain points you're talking about is so true. Like the not knowing when you get paid, and you were saying that you've got your own construction business to level up. And how long were you doing that for?
So from when I started to when we closed the doors was 8.5 years. So
Wow.
almost 9 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I started early. I think like for the construction industry is a funny one as well. Like here in Queensland, I think it's on average 3 or 4 builders a week go into liquidation or voluntary liquidation. So essentially they're shut down, and it's things like cash flow and getting paid, the warranty thing. So for us, it was the risk reward, and for us we were getting married at the time, so we had to look like, is this a burden that we want to carry for the rest of our lives, us being in this industry?
Wow. Yeah. And congratulations as well. And so when did you start, you and your wife kind of had that conversation with like what did you say yes to? So I know I really haven't introduced what we're saying yes to, but what did you say yes to after closing down this business?
Yeah, so we'll wind it back maybe 5.5 years. My wife was a registered nurse at the time, and she was really passionate about health. So she was on her own health journey, and she started studying health and nutrition, and then started like a little side hustle, which was a holistic health practice and coaching on the side. So that started 5.5 years ago. And then essentially she really enjoyed that. She'd had enough working as a registered nurse. She was getting bullied at work and things like that. So coming home crying, like just bullshit like that, like to see your girlfriend or your wife coming home from work crying because she's being picked on by a few old people is just bullshit. But anyway, so the health coaching really lit her up. So we were sort of looking at her business, and at the time she had 12 customers, and she was at the point where she couldn't really scale it much further. I think she was considering going part-time with work, but we looked at the dollars on what we could charge the customers, and it sort of didn't really align to scale. At the end of the day, she was doing so much hours per customer, she was sort of at a limit as well. So then we looked at the digital model, talking about scaling and needing to see how we can serve more people at that level. So essentially we had to take it online. So we took all of the things that she was doing with her customers, turned them into videos and systemized them and made them into ebooks and things like that. And then we were able to put them online. And then she was able to see a lot more customers. And that's grown into now what we know as the Health Style Emporium.
Amazing. Yeah, I'm so glad that I said yes to this business, and it's in a crazy 16-week holistic program that literally so many people need now, especially since COVID. A lot of people don't know how to really care for themselves, and when people say self-care, I know as males, a lot of my mates go, self-care, what's that? Like, I have a beer once a week with my mate. That's good enough. But I know personally in the construction industry, when I was crisis counselling, volunteering my time at Lifeline, a lot of the people were builders. A lot of the people were electrician, plumbers. They lost their job, or they're getting not looked after properly. And yeah, they call the Lifeline suicide prevention line. So I think a lot of people need to talk about this, and especially as a male, you're one of my mentors. It's so nice and refreshing to hear someone talk about I guess a taboo subject of wellness.
Yeah, for sure. I think with the construction industry, I mean, don't get me wrong, most guys just want to show up, do a good job, get paid and go home. But then there's a lot of other stuff that gets thrown in the mix, additional pressure, things like that. And, like you say, mental health things do come into it, and challenges. So I guess that is a part of the Health Style Emporium. We do touch on a lot of mental health is a big thing, because we just noticed the stats in women and also young guys as well. It's crazy when you look at the stats with mental health issues. So being able to offer just some small tips and videos and guidance on that from professionals, is really good and helps them. So, yeah, I mean, if you are struggling with things like that, pick up the phone, get help, speak up. I think that's really important.
100%. And like, what as a wellness coach with the Health Style Emporium, like I haven't even tapped into the amount of resources we have. So like, I definitely want to thank you and Shan to do what you do behind the scenes. So like, you're at the Gold Coast now. I know that you've traveled a bit, and then COVID happened and you had to come back. Tell me a little bit about this business, and I guess the success of the Health Style Emporium, what it's done for you on a personal, professional level.
Yeah, for sure. So once we got out of the construction business, July or mid 2018, my wife and I actually planned to get married. I probably need to step back, and there's a probably important part of the puzzle there that I didn't mention, was that so when my wife's business, when she first started the Emporium, and then when we took it online and started to digitalize it, it started to scale and it started to go really well. So she went from full-time to part-time to leaving her full-time nursing job. And then basically that was her thing. So then she looked at what I was doing in the construction industry and just said, this is shit. You're like, how much do I need to earn? I remember the specific conversations. How much do I need to earn for you to not do this anymore? And it was from her heart. She genuinely didn't want me doing it. She saw what I was going through. Yes, the coin was really good. Multiple six figures is sick, but at what cost? So she looked at that and just thought, fuck this. What do I need to do? How much do I need to earn? So I gave her a figure. I'm like, well, yep, sweet, X amount. So she was like, cool. So I think she just went on a mission for 12 months to basically, that was on her board. And then, 12 months later, she hits it. And then she's like, right, you said this last month, guess what I earned? I'm like, okay, all right. So from there, we made plans to get married. And then we went on ended up being, it was just shy of 12 months trip around the world, which is something that wasn't able to go away on an extended amount of time. I think the best I could do was about 4 weeks. And while I was away, it was pretty hectic with emails and the phone ringing, things like that. So yeah, we got married and then went on a nearly 12-month honeymoon around the world, which was pretty awesome. All while still earning an income every month, still online health coaching. Essentially all we needed was the Wi-Fi connection. And it sounds a bit like cliche, and it's one of those things that you see on YouTube, but it's not like we were just sitting on the beach sipping cocktails and the cash was coming in. What we found is that we had to basically slow our travels down. So what you would do in a place you'd see in 3 days, it would take us about 7 to 10 days to see it, because we'd still do 8 to 10 hours over the day of actual work. Some days we'd do less, some days we'd do around that 10 hours if we were really going for it, pending what was going on. And then there's obviously travel on top of that. So we were fortunate enough to take this online business that my wife and I had created around the world and do. I think we were working in Europe, working in Italy, Central America, the States, Japan for a bit. So yeah. And then ended up back on the Gold Coast where we lived. So it was kind of surreal. So we were getting ready to set up in Bali, which was something like, we love Bali. We got married there. Something to do with the cost of living, the temperature, the waves, that sort of thing. And only being a short flight home to Australia, it was something we were really interested in. But with COVID and stuff like that, we ended up just staying here in Australia. I think the lease we had fell through. So we ended up getting a place here on the beach, on the Gold Coast, which for us has just been completely life-changing. So we wake up, we go for a walk on the beach. We've actually got time to spend our mornings together, because we don't need to spend an hour a day commuting to work. Half an hour there, half an hour back, which is probably what the average punter, I imagine, would do. So we've just in doing that, we've got an extra hour a day that we can spend together, spend on the beach, go to the gym, do those sorts of things. So, I mean, it's just one of the advantages, I guess.
Yeah, that's amazing. And I think a lot of people are wanting a place to feel like have a purpose, have a community. And I've been with the Health Style Emporium since July. And I'm so glad that I said yes to Beck. And then I've got yourself and Chani and a few other upline mentors that actually care about you. And what you've just said to me, a lot of people go, oh my God, like how? Like, that's amazing. Like, for an example, I've got a mate that's working as a carpenter, and like he literally wants to earn enough money, as you said, like you can get good money, but at what cost? If you're not spending time with your family, if you don't have those magic moments with your family and miss opportunities, then I find that there's got to be another way, and you guys have created that. I think some people get
Yeah,
so
for
in their
sure.
head.
I mean, I'd probably just put out there as well, like, we went all in. So my wife at the start, she was like, I know what this can be. I'm going to go hard. She said, just give me 12 months. And then at the 12-month mark, that's when she was actually able to go part-time and wind down from there. So I guess a little disclaimer that her results aren't typical, but nor was her work ethic and what she put into it. So she put the results in and out. But I mean, as well, mate, like you've got to look at, even if it's an extra $300 to $500 a month, you know, how much are the Christmas presents this year going to cost? You know, that's for us, that's 3 paychecks away. It can be as little as that. Even if you put $300 to $500 a month into a bank account, and it is to buy shares, something like that, accumulatively over time, say that was your home loan deposit that you were saving, you know, even if it's $100, that's $5,000 a year, $500, 25 grand a year, maybe more, something like that. I don't know, brain's not working. But yeah, I mean, it's just that little bit extra, but you can go as hard as you want, and there's no cap on what we can earn. It's just really how willing you are to put the effort in and to get out of your comfort zone and to, you know, start scaling the business. But look, it can be a full-time thing. It can be a part-time thing. It's really designed for where you're at. So that's what I really love about it.
Yeah, well said. Like so many people that I know are still working full time. They're studying, and they're using this as a business. So your effort can really result in what you want to do. I know we are chatting before about like setting realistic goals. I think a lot of people, they say, I'm not sure if you've like, I know there's a lot of books out there about life, but for me, I used to have such a bad misconception about money. Like I used to see people in like beach houses, BMWs, Audis, and I always go like, oh, assholes, or, you know, how'd you get so lucky? And I think people's misconception of money is very different. And you were saying that, you know, even if it's extra $300 in this business, it's still good. Like so many people, like they want this higher thing, but they don't want to put in the effort. So I'm really glad that you touched on, you know, Shani's like, I've seen like what she did with her training yesterday about her calendar. Like people go, that's bananas, but she can still look after herself and yourself as well. So yeah, it's I think for me, a lot of people go, why did you say yes to this business? Like you won't get to this, you'll just make the others get richer. So I think there's a lot of misconception of what we do, and I really believe that it is a company with a heart, and there's so many people backing you. You've just got to put in the effort.
I think that's a beautiful thing as well about it, Brodie. Like I haven't been exposed to an industry before where you're so encouraged to win, to do well, and raise each other up. You know, I think corporate is cutthroat. The construction industry, you're arguing over a couple of grand here and there to undercut each other to get the job. So this was my sort of first exposure to actually everybody collectively wants everyone to win. So, you know, it's definitely different, and yeah, you can have your misconceptions around it. But I think, you know, if you've got queries or you've got your misconceptions, if this is your first exposure to the business side of things of what we're doing, get your questions answered. Like my wife said, oh, you know, I don't know, I'm just going to give it 12 months and see what happens. And that was 4 years ago. So 5 years coming up next month. And I think collectively the impact that she's had is something over 18,000 people worldwide, adding massive value through the program that she's created, changing lives. The letters we get of just pure gratitude of what we're doing is that's why we do it. So it's different, but it's game changing. I think people, they think small. I think society conditions them into a box of life's got to be this way. And like you were saying, talking about misconceptions, looking at people with money, they've ripped someone off. He's a cunt, prick, excuse me. That sort of thing. I think a lot of people have that. And I think it's quite the opposite. They've just got their shit in order. They've figured out how to give value to someone more so than and then getting rewarded for that value. So money is just a value, you know, it's a value exchange or an exchange of energy.
100%.
So yeah, mate, I think for the viewers, if this is your first exposure to what Brodie and I are doing, if you've got any questions, definitely reach out to Brodie. Like you said, he's been going for a handful of months now, and he's been off to a really strong start. So he's killing it. So I'm really proud of him. Yeah, and I'm really excited for what's in store for the future.
Thank you so much, Matt. And yeah, really enjoyed chatting with you. And thank you so much for sharing your journey. And I can't wait to experience more success with you guys as well.
Yeah, for sure, man. Thanks for having me on.
Thanks, buddy. Bye.
Chat soon, man. Bye.